G'day and welcome to the Brisbane preview, brought to us by Betfair and powered by puntingform.com.au. This week, joined by Jack Dickens. Dicko, how are you?
Very good, Curls. Excited to be part of this. It's an interesting card. I've done about an hour's worth of form, which isn't much more than I need to do, to be honest. Most of my work's reviews, so I think I found one here in race 8. We're going to look at races 8 and 7, yeah?
Yeah, we will. We'll kick straight into it. This is race 8, highlighted by the return of Alligator Blood, owned by a colourful racing figure, trained by the hottest man in Australasia right now, in David Van Dyke. DVD. Oi, oi, oi. Flying DVD. Alligator Blood obviously progressed through its grades in Queensland, culminating in a big win in Melbourne, and resumes here. Just a standard sort of Saturday Open sprint, nothing outrageous, but you've had a look at the data. Interesting to talk to you about the data on a few of these races today, because you come in with sort of fresh eyes and not someone that's sort of completely consumed by Queensland racing, so you can give us more of an impartial view on just the raw data that we have.
My initial thought is for race 8 is I look the way I do a speed map. There's a lot of speed. I don't know where Alligator Blood is going to get to from barrier 5, even though it doesn't sound that wide a draw. Almost everything inside him's got speed, and when I'm just doing any race, I'm looking at what does this horse want. He wants a mile to 400 metres. We've got 1,110 metres because the rail's out 4.5 at Doomben. We're going to be on a good 4 by the sounds. Is that what you predict, or is there any rain about?
Yeah, well, there is a chance of showers sort of Thursday, Friday, but they'll just prepare the track to be a soft 5 in the morning, which will, by the time this race goes around, looking at the forecast, will be back on a good surface for good 4.
Yeah, so rail out 4.5. I did a bit of research on that as well. That should be pretty fair surface, pretty fair rail position. So I don't think he leads here. Do you?
No, I don't think he does.
And I think most of the punters that own, they'll know of Alligator Blood, even if you're a Victorian punter or a Sydney only punter, and you're going to think that it's an on pace sort of bulldog. But I think he might sort of be at least one pair off the lead, maybe even 2 pairs here.
I sort of thought the Odyssey will lead from gate 1, and probably Fiery Heights outside the leader. So they sort of draw on 1 and 2. So there's an opportunity there for horses or for jocks to hold a spot behind those first 2. I think they land in that right spot. And then you've got a couple of horses drawn inside Alligator Blood, which I couldn't imagine is going to give up their spot. So, Maloney might have to go sort of a pair or 2 back further again.
Or put a severe amount of tempo into this race first up, probably with like really, really big goals ahead of this campaign. So you don't know, you never know. But I think the favourite is that they ride a bit cautiously and allow these horses, which there looks like there's going to be enough pending scratchings. We've got Catsby, Fiery Heights, and the Odyssey who all want to lead or be forward. I think the favourite is that he takes cover here, little mini snick. But they should go pretty quick over 1,100.
Yep, for sure.
What do you like in this race?
Oh, look, I suppose by the time we get to race 8, and if it's a drawing track, we'll have a clearer understanding. Just on what we saw to the eye last start, Just Orm was electric. It put away similar type field, and obviously excluding Alligator Blood, and did it in really nice style. Like that horse has had plenty of goes, Just Orm, but it's hard to fathom to think that it was as good as I've seen it go. Like to the eye, it looked amazing. I'm interested to see what your thoughts were just on a data point of view.
I found it. I like the map. The concern I have is I can't even count that high on the Punting Form webpage here, but it's like, 10th up or something? Long preparation.
Yep.
But Tony Gollan, to my naive watching of Queensland racing goes pretty well, knows what he's doing. It's got a huge figure, a double figure,
Yep.
and it's over 1,050 metres. I want to be with horses that have good figures over this. Like 1,100 to 1,000 metres is a unique type of horse, and I'm happy to. I'd be against Alligator Blood. I'd be against Winks over 1,100. It's an opportunity to get odds about other horses all the time in this situation. It looks like the most obvious thing here. I think you get a fair price.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like it's got a bit of speed to me and can sit off this good speed. We think it's going to be good speed. It's got the big figure. So the faster they go early in a race is the more likelihood that there's going to be a big figure in the race. And that looks like this horse is the one that's sort of done it before. Its last run suggests to me it's flying. Ticked every box I look for, like data-wise on the Punting Form stuff last start. I thought the other thing in the race that interested me a little bit was that number 6, Mr. Marble Aruse. It probably sits off. I don't know where it gets to in the run, though. I think Just Orm's pretty bomb-proof map-wise, and I agree. I think Just Orm each way, or however you want to punt it home, would be the way I'd suggest the bet here. Number 3, Just Orm.
Yeah, I think, like you say, it has looked like it's had a reasonable prep, but it did beat. It did handle Nick and Over a couple back, and then ran right up to that run again last start. And I think the map favours just suggest that if something's going to knock off Alligator Blood, Just Orm could be the one. I'd expect Alligator Blood to have a fair bit left in the tank. For what?
Yeah, and also with Just Orm, like it's had 9 starts at this track and trip for 3 wins and 3 thirds. It's just I just want to focus on horses that I think are suited at this trip, at this track. And I think Alligator Blood, yeah, like we've gone over it 40 times already, but I just expect it's got bigger things ahead of it, and 1,100 metres is well short of what its best trip is. And it may well just be too good.
Class may get it there, but at the $1.75, happy to bet around it. All right.
Race 7?
Race 7. This is a listed race over a mile. Probably lacks a little bit of depth for a listed race, to be fair. We saw a couple of horses, in particular, Super Giant, have a really good last preparation. Very strange ride last start. He did go around favourite, and for a horse that was sort of first up, it was a bit of a wild ride from Mr. Chow. He sort of got caught wide, and instead of sort of, as you'd anticipate, probably look after the horse first up with bigger things ahead for the prep, he did sort of let it rip from the 1,000, made a dash up to them, and was entitled to tire late. So he probably looks, on historical stuff, a real good leading chance. And we have Torjoy representing the Wallace stable here as well in the race.
Does it lead pretty easily from 2?
Yeah, look, I think Torjoy and Super Giant are the 2. Just not sure how aggressive they'll be on Super Giant second up here, whether Torjoy holds it or Super Giant pushes on. We've seen Super Giant lead at good clips last prep and run really well, but they are the 2 on the map, and probably the 2 leading chances. Skate to Paris has been going well enough.
If we think that the track, and you'd know by now, and like so astute is Kelly's betting advice, if you're not getting it, I can't help you much. But like again yesterday, what did we take? 5s, 220 or something? Yeah,
we copped 450 after deductions on a winner that SP 224.
One I only bet yesterday. Outstanding work. The track play will play a big role here, but I can't get past Torjoy. Like it's the form out of that horse race is pretty strong. Everything out of it's improved its overall figure. We think it's going to get a pretty soft lead. It looks pretty bomb-proof here. And it looks like classic Waller, just going to go and pick off it like a really soft listed race for a mare.
Yeah, brilliant placement.
Batting up that page.
Even if they have to hand up the front to Super Giant because he wants to charge, he's still going to get the run of the race.
What about number 10, One for Betty? I half found it. It doesn't have a big figure.
Doesn't.
but it was pretty good last start, and it's going to get that really soft run.
Yeah, it did close off.
3 pairs back the fence. It's going to need luck.
Yeah, it did close off. I'm sort of map and jock is a little bit of concern. Did sort of get a little bit lost last start as well, and I think it could be buried fence here, and I think it's going to make it pretty difficult. Horse that has sort of improved, even though it's a little bit older, is number 5, Junction. Thought it produced a pretty good figure when it won, resuming from a spell, won an open, and then just a little bit against it the other day at Eagle Farm. It never really got a clear sort of run. It was on heels most of the journey. It's got a pretty strong figure at the mile, winning at Doomben here towards the end of its last preparation.
Yeah.
I sort of thought that he could take a really good spot, sort of 3rd, 4th from that gate, behind those 2 that we mentioned earlier. I thought that it could be one that could run a race as well, but Escape to Paris will get back. And then so we're going to sort of rely on what tempo we get here, on how hard these want to go. But Barefoot's another horse that
I was going to ask you about Barefoot.
Has a huge figure back in May at Doomben over this trip.
Yeah, I found that. In my mind, the stable's more of a provincial operation. Is that right or wrong?
Deadly at the provincials when the money's on. No, they had their fair share of metros, but certainly not in this. Yeah, certainly not as well. Yeah, they go okay, but yeah, certainly more known for their provincial exploits probably.
Just like out of interest too, like that Junction which you've half tipped here, Escape to Paris has got a big SP over it.
Yep.
Last start, and even if you go back to the way back, One for Betty's got a good SP over it as well. So I think sort of what we're getting to is this race is pretty even.
Yeah, there's a number of horses that have the ability to win it, depending on tempo, I think, but. I sort of keep going back to that point there of the tempo here. Torjoy can dictate whether it leads because Supergiant doesn't want to, or if Supergiant does, Torjoy can take the sit behind the leader, and that might just be enough aces up its sleeve there, and just getting Ronnie Stewart to execute could determine the race.
Now, there's the 2 good races done and dusted. I've got a question for you. No notice. Race 2, DVD again. We're back to DVD territory. Yep. Now, as I'm skimming through this morning, number 7, Amici, right? It looks, if you look at it just briefly, that it's about 5th or 6th up. You dig a little deeper, it's actually not. He's freshened it, given it a trial. It's come out sort of first up, but race fit and improved 9 lengths to run a 4.3 compared to a 5.3 below. Is there something in this as to how you handle DVD and how other people can sort of start to read DVD, David Van Dyke?
Yeah, so
the greatest ever trainer.
I've been rattling on about pattern recognitions in Queensland my entire punting career, I think. And this one is a pattern that's definitely emerging from this camp. Now, I know the season is relatively in its infancy. David Van Dyke striking above 51% winners to runners so far, which is out of this world. So what I've noticed is first up, like absolutely deadly. Second up, deadly. Third up, drop off a bit. What I have been noticing is they get to that. David Van Dyke is very good at spacing runs between preps, 4 to 6 weeks, little barrier trial in between. And this Amici, is a good example. Like you say, it had its 3 runs back. It won by 10, first up on the heavy at the Sunny Coast in a maiden. Progressed to a Class 1 where it handled them, then got beat in a Class 3. And if you have a look at its figures, it regressed third up to be its sort of worst run.
Yeah.
And then,
well, it basically it equaled its debut run as its worst run. But yeah, it was profiling like that, and then it just went boom.
Yeah. So then,
look at that! Look at that finger. It's not sweet, is it? It doesn't go straight. Yuck. Sorry, guys. Sorry.
So, and then for that, and then he goes 5 weeks between runs with a little quiet jump out in between times, and it comes out and like it's win at Doomben. Look, I know it was only a fillies and mares class 3, but it eyeballed in gear, not a bad horse, and ran 4.3 below. Like you said, it's a 9-length improvement. So there was a little instance. We discussed that that horse of his that won in town 2 weeks ago, the Sydney horse, Lord. His name escapes me. I should have looked it up earlier.
I know exactly what you're saying. Anyway,
so
do all that. Do your own research there at home.
I'll find it. Desert Lord. Remember, it came up here
Desert
2 weeks
Lord.
ago. Won on debut. It's a miler. So this listed race here was an absolute like Mozart. 2 weeks between go to the listed race this week. DVD said during the week, no, I'm going to give it a little freshen, change a few little things, tweak a few little plans, little freshen, trial, and then run it again. So put that in your black book. Like, if it comes up $1.50, it'll start $1.30. So that's just a bit of pattern recognition on DVD. I've got no idea what to expect from Amici in this race. It's off its last run. It's a complete moral. But does it repeat? That's the question. There's a few DVD runners throughout the day that get here sort of, and I'm treating Amici second up. And if you have a look through its stats, through the data there on Punting Form, you'll see that it did make, the horse did make some improvement first up to second up at the beginning of the prep. So it's a tough, it's not tough. You just keep backing them, don't you? When a stable's winning at 50%, you just don't bet against. But I think you just got to be.
There's certainly nothing sus out of the race either. Like, one's improved its figure, another horse has run third, another horse has run second, and the other horse sort of went awful. So there's no real.
No, definitely not.
Clear direction there.
Definitely.
The other horse we've got is race 4, number 5, Good Chat, who won at $1.30. Like $1.30. 2 weeks ago on the sunny coast in a maiden. Up in grade here. How do you handle that?
Well, this will be a very interesting sort of SP profile, this horse, and what it goes off. I mean, on the data, like, it did nothing, didn't it, on debut? It did nothing last start when it won, like on the data. It led, they went 13 lengths slower.
Yeah, its figure's awful compared to.
Yep.
You've got Tycoon Evie, Safe Work, Clairvaux Star, and the Actuary, who have gone faster than the all average benchmark, which is pretty good for Queensland. Like, this level of race, he's 13 lengths off that. He's 13 lengths off break even. So it's really tricky for people to like us to go, yeah, he can get to this. But also, like, it's a small field. Maybe there's no tempo. Sometimes if they go slow early, you just can't run that big figure.
Exactly. And that's what it did, obviously, when it won its maiden last start. Pretty certain that, Ryan Maloney rode it in that race, and he basically tapped it into neutral at the 300 and just rolled down the big Caloundra hill down there, just ambling down the straight. It was heavily backed. Like, they took $1.65 down to $1.30. And nothing was in the frame. This is an interesting race as far as what price do you market, what price does it start? Do the big teams that are working off data, do they get involved here? Do they sit out because it's got no figure, but it's DVD? I thought Tycoon Evie is a horse that I've sort of spruiked a little bit and bet a little bit as well recently. I thought you'd done a good job in winning last start, and I just sort of thought that maybe possibly done enough for the prep. Hard to know. And then you've got another stable that the viewers should be sort of black booking in particular is the Morrissey stable. They've got safe work here. Punting Form will show you, if you look at the stable results, Punting Form will show you the price fluctuations on some of these horses. And I can assure you that when there's money for these horses in town, they run well. And
they're hot at the moment. The last 12 months, they're negative 14.3% pot.
Yeah,
last
overall,
they're 27.8 profitable. So they've had a big sort of improvement the last 50 starts.
Definitely. So just a stable worth noting, because they can improve. I'm not saying this in a negative sense, but they can improve, and they have improved off no form. When there's money there to suggest that they're ready to run well. So we saw it with Parko again on the weekend. It was well supported and ran time. So yeah, there's a number of examples there. So look, an interesting day Saturday. We don't want to get ourselves too great up over DVD, but it's hard not to, because you've got to have so much respect for how the stable's going. And I think we've already discussed betting against Alligator Blood at our peril, because it's a DVD first up, and we don't know where Amici fits. Does it run up to the same figure? And then we've got the other horse there that we mentioned, Good Chat, who is yet to be tested.
Very, very scary. Very, very scary. As always, though, if you're going to bet in Queensland, get Curly, hold your hand. That's what I'll do. Yesterday, didn't force it. Just one bet, $5 into $2. Bang, won. What meetings are you covering this weekend?
So recording this Thursday, slipping out of Ipswich. Started doing the Sunny Coast. Well, nearly finished doing the Sunny Coast Friday night, where there's a couple of opportunities there, I think. Couple of David Van Dyke runners resuming from spells as well. We might just take any price. And then we've got... Then we have Gold Coast Saturday, the Metropolitan meetings at Doomben, and we have Toowoomba Saturday night. So we covered a few meetings last week, and we were able to graft a profit, which is what it's about. And I think one of the best things about last Saturday, in particular, is I've had like 3 really good bets. 2 of them have gone absolutely terrible, and then we've sort of rolled into Toowoomba with a big blast in the second last. So it's a long day. It's hard not to throw the toys out of the cot early, but
it does have help, punters. He has a personal driver like Craig Williams of Queensland. This bloke, young bloke on the payroll. So not only are you supporting the Mailbag and Curly, you're also supporting his son. Giving him some spending money. There's a driver. Might get some good content on my hand from Toowoomba if it's fat again.
Yeah, well, hopefully. I really like the card at Toowoomba. Obviously, while we're filming this, the fields aren't out, but there's a lot of black bookers in the nominations and in the weights there, so I'm looking forward to a big Saturday.
Beautiful work. Best bet, value bet, and a lay for the Doomben card. Have you got one?
Yeah, look, I don't want to go into the race in too much depth just yet. Obviously, there's always a little bit to play out in Queensland, particularly the last 5 minutes of betting. Just an early look, I suppose, across race 3. I thought that Fisticuffs at $1.95 is terribly short. I'm just not sure whether he's a horse. He's promised a lot. He's promised a hell of a lot. He looks like a nice type. He has put in some good efforts, but I just don't know whether the penny's dropped with him yet. And I don't want to be taken anywhere near that sort of price for a horse like him, particularly when you've got some tough, hard sprinters there, like a horse like Piracy could well find the bunny from gate 2 with Mashani Bullet on its back, and they're not bad horses. When they're able to get to do their thing. Thought it was very short. And there's an earlier race here, race 1, number 6. I haven't had a lot of luck with Alex Pattis as a jock.
She loves going slow.
I think just looking at the map here, I think they have no choice here but to roll forward on this horse from the gate. And I think if they do, I think Tregano's the one to beat for mine. There's a couple of others there that did come up in the black book but have drawn poorly. So Tregano with the claim and, with only 54 should just roll forward and be in the finish.
Well, I'm happy enough to suggest a bet on race 7, number 4, Tory Joy. I think there's good form out of that Hawkesbury race. It can do as it likes, probably gets a soft lead. As to whether to get stuck in now or later, I'd hand that over to Curls. He'll tell you what to do via the app. And I think Just Orm, you can go each way there in race 8, number 3, Just Orm. I think Alligator Blood's a risk at over 1100, given its best performance over a mile. Just happy to bet in the race, basically against Alligator Blood, but I think Just Orm each way is a nice good bet, drawn to get a really good run behind what looks to be a good speed.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, thanks very much for joining us, mate. Appreciate your input, particularly someone with, like I say, it's not sort of swallowed up by the game in Queensland and can come with some fresh eyes and look at some data. So really appreciate your time and hopefully between us we can have a big weekend.
Long may it continue. Thanks, punters. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks.